When you put a girl up on a pedestal and treat her as the ultimate prize, it triggers a shift in her mindset where she goes, "Whoa, I'm the prize here. I can relax a little bit. I don't have to try as hard. I don't have to impress him as much. I have options." And when she does that, her interest in you slowly starts to dwindle. So what I want to discuss is, how can you be the prize with a woman? How can you have her seeing you as the prize? Because that's how you can get her to chase you, and that's what she wants as much as you want. A lot of guys think, if I treat her like a princess, if I treat her like a prize, that's how I'm going to get her. But the reality is, women want to be with somebody that she sees as the prize. It's woman nature. She wants somebody that she believes she have to work for, that she have to win over. Because romance for a woman is winning a guy over, and she wants to win that prize over. So how do you do that? We're going to go through 5 masculine traits that position you as a prize, and the first one is a belief. Masculine men always believe that he is the man. He is the prize. A lot of guys go, "I'm not the prize. She's better looking than me, or she's more outgoing. She has more friends than me." But we've all met the masculine guy who really doesn't have a lot going for him and not making a lot of money. Not the best looking guy, and he firmly, unwaveringly believes that he's the prize. And what happens when you do that? Women buy into it when you slap a really high price tag on yourself. On the other hand, I've seen a lot of guys who are good looking or above average looking, but women are continually ghosting them or losing interest because they have a habit of putting women up on a pedestal, of believing women's the prize. And the minute she figures out that she's the prize, her interest in you starts to diminish. You have to understand that if you think you're the man and you act like the man, then other people think you're the man. And then if other people think you're the man, well, then you're the man. And the very same thing could be said right here about being the prize. If you believe you're the prize, then you start acting like you're the prize. And when you act like the prize, women begin to treat you like you're the prize. And when they do that, you become the prize. It's very simple. Now, how to actually implement that belief when you're with a woman? How do you display this without coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm the prize"? Because if you tell somebody something, they're going to go, "Yeah, that's not true," or "I don't believe that," or "You're clearly not like that." But if she assumes it on her own, then we talked about, if you act like it, then she believes it. So how do you act like the prize? That's step number 2. The next thing you have to do is stop chasing validation. Look, when 2 people get together, one person tries harder, and the person who tries harder holds less power in the interaction. When a man and a woman get together, if you ask a woman out on a date or you're meeting up with her, there's this validation vacuum where somebody is going to be trying to get validation or trying to impress the other person. So if you stop trying to impress her, she's going to try to fill that vacuum with validation, trying to impress you and get validation from you, because it's just this thing where somebody has to do it. One person's always going to be trying to get the other person to like them more. It's just the way it is when 2 people get together. So if you stop chasing her validation, she's going to start chasing yours. Stop going into your head and going, what can I say that is impressive about me? Okay, well, I got this good job. I can tell her about my job and the promotion I got, or I can mention the town that I live in because I know that she's going to think that's a good town. I can mention the vacations I take. I can mention the car I drive. I can mention all of these things. We don't really do it on a conscious level, but when we're with somebody that we want to try to impress, that's what our brain starts going towards. Even overly trying to show her that you're a funny guy and make her laugh and tell entertaining stories. When you're doing that and she's sitting back relaxing, you're sort of the entertainer. You're trying to get her validation. She's the audience that you're trying to win over. And what's interesting is that women actually want to be the one winning you over. They want you to be the audience that is a little not impossible to win over, but doesn't laugh at everything and isn't immediate with the applause. She wants to work a little bit. So you want to allow her to switch into that role because that's the role she would rather be in. It's the role she feels more comfortable in. Another thing to think about when we talk about not chasing validation is it's always better to show instead of tell. Let's say you want to tell her about your vacation to Spain. What you're really trying to do is to show her something about yourself when you're talking to her. For example, if she says she loves a particular thing, mention that you saw something similar in Spain. Then suggest that next time you will bring it to her. As human beings, we believe something more when we see it with our own eyes. So instead of telling her about your adventures, be adventurous with her. Instead of telling her that you're a leader at work, lead her. Take her and say, Hey, let's go do this. Lead the vibe with her, make bold statements around her, take charge, and she's going to come to her own assumption, oh, this guy's a leader. And instead of telling her the adventurous stuff that you do, be adventurous with her. Go, this is kind of boring. I had a really cool place we can go to. Be adventurous. That's way more believable than you telling her, oh, I did this and I did that, because that comes across as trying to impress her. Another thing to keep in mind with this idea of not chasing validation is not overly explaining yourself. So if somebody's the prize and we want them to like us, we often tend to try to justify things. So if you aren't really comfortable with the job you have, you might try to explain it. I'm only doing this for a little while until I find something better. That's explaining yourself. Or saying something like I'm normally in better shape, but I've just been letting myself go. You're explaining yourself. And when you do that, you're showing the person that their opinion is really important to you, and you're trying to impress them. You want to reverse that. You want to take chasing validation out, because when you do that to fill that vacuum, she's going to start wanting your validation. So the third thing that you want to do in terms of being the prize is to be curious before validating. That means when you are on a date with a girl, keep in mind that she is just a human being, not a creature above you. You have to get to know her first and see if there is a spark, then you can make the decision. Just because she is attractive or well-educated doesn't mean she's the right girl. I've seen guys all the time go out on a date and then the woman loses interest, and it's always because she clearly sees herself as the prize based on the way he's treating her. And once a woman knows she's the prize, she thinks, oh, I've got options. So let's say you're talking to a woman and you find out she's a lawyer. Don't go, oh my God, you're a lawyer. That must have been so hard. You went through school. That's so cool. You must be making a lot of money. No, don't do that, please. Instead, be curious before validating. When she says, I'm a lawyer, say, oh, what made you decide to do that? How did you decide you wanted to do that? So then she might say, I've always been into the law growing up. You've always been into the law? That's kind of interesting. What are you to that? And now she might say, I love history. Oh, you like history? By asking her those curious questions, she always wants to impress you with her answers. She's going to make an effort to seek your validation. Don't be that guy who's always trying to impress girls, but make her impress you and chase your validation. That's the trait of a masculine guy who always makes her chase him by the way he treats her. The next one is asking her to do something for you. A lot of guys think, to get a woman to like me, I'm going to do something for her. So if she's complaining that her car is making a weird sound, he might say, I'll take a look at it. Or if she's mentioning that her computer's not working, he wants to jump at an opportunity to do her a favor because he thinks that's going to make her like him more. But no, that's not true. We actually like somebody more when we find ourselves doing a favor for them. So if you want somebody to like you, ask them to do something for you. In psychology, that's called effort justification, which means when we're going after something, when we're doing something, we want to believe that we're doing it for a reason that makes sense. When she's doing you a favor, part of her brain is going to start questioning, why am I doing this? Oh, I must like this guy. It must be worth it. It's effort justification. She will begin to like you more. So you don't need to go overboard with this. You don't need to have a girl doing you favors one after another. But at the same time, don't be afraid to ask for a favor early on with a woman. It could be something as simple as if she mentions she's really good at cooking, you can ask her to bring you some cake next time you meet. This way you will show your masculinity because she made an effort by making cake for you. She will seek your validation about her cake, whether it's good or not. Now the last thing we want to talk about is communicating your standards. So a few years back, I was going to get some cosmetic work done on my teeth, and I was visiting various dentists. Some dentists I visited would be hovering over me asking, do you want water? Do you need anything? Do you have any questions? They seemed to be kissing my ass to gain my business. After leaving, I'd receive emails asking, have you decided yet? Do you have any questions? I couldn't help but wonder, why are they doing all of this? If they're truly skilled, shouldn't I be pursuing them? Then there was another dentist, the one I ultimately chose. Upon entering his office, there was a sign stating, if you're more than 5 minutes late, you'll need to reschedule. Despite having visited several dentists already, I explained that I knew what I wanted and simply needed to know the cost. His response was clear: "No, I need to explain to you what I'm going to do. If you don't have time now, you can come back. If you don't want to hear it, then perhaps we're not the right fit." It felt unusual, but I listened attentively. He then provided me with the price, which was a few $1,000s higher than others. When I queried him about it, he responded, "Listen, you're paying for quality." He didn't offer apologies or explanations. Instead, he simply set and communicated his standards, showing that he didn't need my business desperately. This principle applies to relationships with women as well. Always communicate your standards. If she's unwilling to listen, it may indicate that you're not compatible. The same applies when she attempts to downgrade your meetups. For instance, if you suggest meeting for dinner and she responds with, "I'm tired tonight, but let's meet for lunch," it's a downgrade. In such situations, assert your standards and suggest rescheduling for a time when she's available. A masculine man communicates his standards confidently without fearing her loss of interest, thereby affirming his value.